let's talk about a book that I feel like is going to make a lot of people not happy with me, and that is My Friends by Hisham Matar. I think I said that right. Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. Welcome back to the channel. Hello if you are new. Welcome back to Booker. Welcome back to me reading the long list, all that jazz. Okay? Anyway, all right. It's time for me to talk about My Friends, which I think is probably one of the highest rated books going into the Booker long list. I'm not here to say that I hate this book, but I don't know what the special sauce is with this that has so many people so in love with it. I think that's the most democratic and the best way that I can say this. This is objectively a very well written historical fiction about three young men and how events in Libya have shaped their life, particularly starting with this protest that happened in the UK in Regent's in St. James Square, where they are protesting outside of the Libyan embassy, and the embassy opens fire on them. Some of them get shot, some of them don't. 11 students get shot and injured, and I think one police officer dies. Historically, like this is real. We see how that event shapes these three boys' lives and how they end up kind of all connecting in a weird way. And that is, there's nothing wrong. Like, it is beautifully done. Like, there's nothing objectively wrong with this book. But also, I think that there's just something missing for me in this. I think it comes down to there not being more trauma in this book, which seems weird because there's plenty of bad stuff that happens. But I was expecting, I think is a better way for me to say this. I was expecting more trauma. I was expecting something negative to happen to these three boys. They all end up just dispersing and living their lives. So we are mostly following our narrator, Khalid, who has been living in the UK for like 30 some odd years. He's been in exile. He's been an expat from Libya. He goes originally in the 80s to go to school in Edinburgh, and he ends up stuck there after this event happens. He basically becomes an enemy of the state for going to this protest that he didn't even really want to go to. His other friend, well, it's not that he didn't want to go to, it's that he wasn't really the impetus for it. He has another friend in college whose name is slipping my mind right now, and I'm hoping that I have it written down somewhere. Mustafa. He is the much more radical of the two friends in college, and he wants to go to this thing. So he takes Khalid to London to this event. Things happen. They end up in the hospital. Khalid is the most injured out of everybody. He has like his lungs are injured. He gets shot. He's got scars all over the place. He's very identifiable as like having been injured. He's in exile, and he's limited in his ability to even travel around. There is a scene where he and some college friends go to Europe on vacation. I think they're leaving France and going into Spain, and then the customs people give him a hard time in the car and are like, "You're not allowed to be here." And they're like, "He's leaving. Why are you giving him a hard time?" So, I mean, there's a lot of tension in this, and it is beautifully done. And we're seeing something that we don't always see. I feel like typically historical fiction that becomes popular and well liked tends to focus on other things. It's not focusing on somewhere like Libya. And I really love this about some of the choices in these books for Booker 2024 is that there is this broad scope geographically of what we are covering. It's not all books set in Ireland. It's not all books set in France. So there's a lot of France. There's a lot of France in this. I'm just gonna say someone's a Francophile in this little judging panel. You know, we've got Algeria, we've got Libya, we've got Europe. We're everywhere. There's so much. Of course, we've got Ireland, we've got the US. Like, there's a really broad scope, and I really appreciate that. And I do enjoy that in general, the caliber of the writing of these books is very good. Even the books I don't like, I'm not like horribly upset by them, except for maybe Headshot. I just question why they're on the list or what made them so special. What did the judges see? And that seems to be my biggest complaint. But for My Friends, I expected more trauma, something bigger to happen, especially as we get near the end. And it's a little bit more reflective. It's Khalid like walking around and thinking back on his life, thinking back on Mustafa and what's happened with him. And we finally found out how his life changes, how he becomes increasingly more radicalized, how he goes back to Libya and the things that he does there. There's this third individual that becomes this linchpin between the two of them, and that is Hisham Zoa, who is this writer who, when Khalid is younger, writes this short story about this guy getting eaten by his cat and his complicity, how complicit he is until the very last moment, until he's almost gone in that devouring of self, and kind of how that reflects on Libya and the government and what they're doing to people. And then eventually he does write a collection of short stories that the boys read while they're in hospital and they're recuperating from this attack, and he becomes a very important figure uh, in their lives. And then eventually, when they both meet him, there's sort of two different reactions. Khalid still kind of idolizes him. Mustafa sort of sees him as like, why does he not do anything? He doesn't write anymore, doesn't do anything, he's washed up. And then eventually, other things happen between the three of them, and then bonds form between Mustafa and Hussam. And I'm sorry if I'm saying everybody's names wrong. I'm really freaking trying. I even listen to the audiobook, and I'm trying really hard to make my mouth make the right sounds, but it is a struggle for me. But they have this really interesting, like, triangular friendship that grows and splits and changes and warps. They grow up, they love, they do all these things. It is a really great novel. There's nothing objectively wrong. I feel like there's something missing for me to make it as high in the readings as it is. I think it has to do with there needing to be more trauma, like some traumatic event at the very end. I don't know. There's just something missing for me, and I don't know how to fully articulate it. But at the end of the day, there's nothing really wrong with this. And I wonder if anybody else feels that sort of like there's just this piece that's missing to make this knock it out of the park, stand out, like 5-star read. It really is very much just Khalid like walking. Like, he does so much walking around and looking and reflecting, and sometimes it can get a bit much. I'm also frustrated with him for never going back to Libya. Not to spoil anything for you, but I just did. But he never returns. He has friends who return. And I get that, like, maybe he doesn't want to go to war. I get that he is scarred. I get that he has trauma. I get that something happened to him and he is stagnant and stuck in place. And I get that there is fear, and I get all of that. But you have a family that you love, and you have a father that's like, come home, it's time, you can do this now. And you're still stuck in place. And I wish he wasn't. Like, I wish that he left, or that by not leaving, there's some incredibly great regret for him, and then that we can explore what that means. But it is a beautiful look at like living in exile, living under like a totalitarian sort of regime, a dictatorship, going against the state. How radicalized can you be? It's about getting stagnated after trauma, and it is really well written. There's something else that I wanted to happen to make this 5 stars, and it's just not. And because I know that so many people have rated this so highly, I feel like this was oversold to me, and it's doing this a disservice in my brain. After all that, it is one of the better Booker books that was longlisted. So I'm going to put this near the top of the list. It's definitely one of the better books. All around, it's better. But I think this kind of keep going. I feel like we're just going to keep going back to this little like earworm of picking books that have heart. Like, we can't really go hard on anything. We can't really hurt our characters. We can't really experience a full range of human emotion because we're looking for books that have heart. There's more than heart. Like, there's trauma and grief and emotional breakdowns, and there's evil and villainy, and there's so much more in the world than just heart. And maybe heart is something that we all need. I mean, the world is not exactly a great place, but there's more in the world. You can have better rounded experiences on a book list like this. But anyway, I don't hate it. I did really like it. I do think about it. It's a good book. I think you all ruined it for me by loving it so much. I've heard too many good things. It was oversold to me, and I was looking for some incredible wow factor, and I just didn't find it, and it breaks my heart, honestly. But anyway, so that is Booker book number 9. There's a playlist linked to the description. Let me know your thoughts. Fight me in the comments if you want. Maybe I'm just misguided, but anyway, like and subscribe. See you in my next video. See you in my next review. Whatever. I don't know how to wrap this up anymore. Goodbye.